Hi, I'm Coach Jason Tullis and head coach here at 10ACT Championship Coaching. Today I'll speak on some base training basics. For some of you, base training is starting now, and for some, that training will begin in the next few weeks. Base training is the foundation on which you will build your event-specific form. It can be very individual and specific to the events you are training for, but in general, base training is a time to prepare you, mind and body, to take on the greater stresses that your events require. In a sense, you're preparing yourself to train. With that being said, the type of training you're doing during your base training will be very different from the training that you are doing right before your event or within your race season. In my opinion, this is the most important time of your training. In this training period, you will make the biggest and most important changes in your physiology than any other time of the year. These changes include mitochondrial content, capillary density, cardiovascular adaptation, and a higher fat max, which is the maximum power at which you can still burn a predominantly fat for fuel. During this base training period, most of your rides will be in Zone 1 and Zone 2, and you will be working on any weaknesses you may have. Zone 1 and 2 are relatively very easy, with the typical heart rate ceiling being 70 to 75% of your max heart rate. You should be able to hold a conversation easily while riding at this pace. There are many ways to measure the ceiling of Zone 1 and 2, but an easy way is just calculating that 70 to 75% of your max heart rate. Your weaknesses should be trained through a variety of speed and skill workouts. For example, you may be weaker in the cornering technique. For this, I'd employ your coach or specific skills coach along with the use of video recording, review, and lots of practice. This base training period is typically 8 to 12 weeks long and usually increases in volume from week to week, but be sure to add some recovery weeks. These help prevent any overuse injuries, illness, burnout, and overtraining. Recovery weeks can be once every 4 weeks or every 3 weeks if you're in the over 50 crowd. However, that 3-to-1 or 2-to-1 work recovery ratio is a little arbitrary. I suggest you use those ratios to set a plan, but then listen to your body and communicate with your coach. Recover when you are tired and move on from the aerobic training when the goal adaptations have been made. As an example, with an athlete last year, she started her aerobic base at 190 to 200 watts at 130 heart rate, and by the end of 6 weeks, her power had risen to 230 to 235 for the same heart rate. So we just decided to recover, adjust our plan, and move on. After finishing this base training period, you'll be properly prepared to train for the more intense demands of your goal events. Well, that sums up the 10ACT base training basics. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at jason@go10act.com.